It's Halloween! Or near enough anyway. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me once again. So today, which is the same day as when I recorded the last one, I'm talking to you about narcissism. You know, in the last video we talked about whether you were narcissistic or not. There was a lot of statements there that I gave you to sort of understand if these are things that you would likely say, if there's somebody you know that might say them, and basically giving you an outline of what narcissism is and how it's presented in yourself or in other people. It certainly presented itself in me in those ways that I described in my last video, which I will link around here somewhere, I'm sure. So today, guys, we are talking how to manage our narcissistic traits and actually how to work them out, understand them, identify them, and how to deal with it. So, without further ado, here we go. Identify it. I could just leave it there if you want, but no, I'm gonna keep going. So identifying that you have narcissistic traits is probably a very hard thing to do, simply because a narcissist is somebody that deflects everything. Mostly everything. I'm sure there's things that they don't deflect, but ultimately if it's anything that is going to attack them as an ego, they're going to be on the defense, and it's not going to be very easy to break that barrier down and actually get beyond that, to tell them, look, you have some narcissistic traits, and actually we need to talk about this because it's not nice and I don't want to have to deal with it. So identifying it in yourself is one of the most powerful things that can happen. So if you're in this situation and you think that you're a narcissist, that you've got that inkling that you might have some narcissistic traits that I mentioned in my previous video, then that's a good start. That is a huge start. That is amazing, because you have recognized that you have narcissistic traits, which is something that a narcissist doesn't normally do. But like I say, guys, in my previous video, all of those things that I mentioned are narcissistic traits, and that is part of identifying it within yourself. So if you've got any of those traits that I've mentioned, and if you haven't watched it, I will link around here so that you can go back to it and watch it. But please, guys, do come back to this video because I've got more. I promise you, I've got more. Accept it. Accept it. Okay, it is what it is, okay? I have had some downfalls in my life and I have made mistakes. I have been able to recognize that. That's huge. That is huge. So accept it for what it is. You've made mistakes. Accept it. You can't do much more than that because it's in the past. There is nothing you can do to change what has happened. So you just have to accept it, okay? It is what it is. Understand it. Now, this is probably the hardest bit. No, it's not the hardest bit. The hardest bit is self-realizing that you're a narcissist. This is probably the next bigger thing that you would need to deal with, is actually understanding it for yourself and understanding where it comes from. Now, you might decide that using a counsellor is beneficial in this situation, a therapist or a psychotherapist, something like that. It's definitely worth having some kind of coach or counsellor that will help you through understanding your narcissistic traits, because sometimes, especially being narcissistic, you are inside your head and this is your armour. Your body is your armour and nothing else matters outside of that. So being able to explore why that isn't going to be easy. So I would recommend, if this is you, if this rings true for you, then I would urge you to seek out a counsellor or therapist that can help you work through this and identify those traits to ultimately help you, guide you through that healing process, because there's a reason you're narcissistic. There's a reason that has come about, and having a counsellor there will be able to guide you through that, and will be able to work with you to understand where that has come from and how you can put it right so that you can let go of it and you can be able to push forward and make your happiness. Which essentially leads me into the next point. Deal with it. How do you deal with it? Part of the understanding process, and if you have a counsellor to work through it with, they will be able to guide you on this journey of how to deal with it. First of all, recognising it is the most difficult bit. That is the bit that ultimately will get you to this hurdle. You go through the understanding process and you get to the deal with it, and that is where you have picked this apart. You've pulled apart the narcissistic traits that you have, and you've worked out why you have them and when they happen, when they're likely to show. So when it comes to dealing with it, ultimately it's just highlighting in your mind when you're about to do something like that and stopping yourself before you do it. And although it sounds very easy, naturally you have to go through this whole acceptance process and work out why you act that way. And then you can start tackling these little traits as they happen or before they happen. But you have to recognise those moments, recognise when they're likely to show, and that will be your alarm bell that says, right, no, this is going to happen and you're going to feel that way because this is the way that it happens. So recognising that, oh, okay, that's when it's going to happen, and then going, okay, no, I need to take a step back, I need to take a breather, and I need to rationalise this situation, take myself out of it, my ego out of it, and approach it in a more rational way. And if that means that you have to walk away, even for like a week, it doesn't matter. You have to do what you have to do to be able to deal with the things that you want to deal with in the best way you know possible. So taking a step back and walking away from a situation is actually very courageous. So if you do that and you're doing it for yourself, congratulations, because that is what you should be doing. Take the time for yourself. It's your time. Who is anybody to tell you how you spend that time? But if you spend that time by going, okay, I can't deal with this right now, I need to walk away, I need to rationalise this, I need to put a little bit of a perspective on this, I need to put on a positive spin on this and make sure that I'm coming back with clarity and everything is pulled together in a nice neat bow and I can deal with it in the best way possible. Because dealing with it off the cuff, that's when these narcissistic traits happen. It's when it's impulse and it happens straight away without taking that step back, that breather. Even if it is just a few seconds, like, it helps. It really does. So take a step back. And that's how you deal with it. Or at least that's how I've dealt with it. I've stopped myself. I have gone, no, I can't deal with this and I need to walk away. And I've done that God knows how many times, because I know that if I get into a situation like that, I'm just going to get really het up. I'm going to get really angry. I'm going to lash out, and the narcissistic traits are just going to keep flowing. They're just going to keep on coming, and they're not going to stop. So I know that if I stop myself before it happens, I pull myself out of that situation, I can put my management skills into action and I can start managing the situation and be able to come back in a clearer frame of mind. You can see why I say to you guys, take a step back. Just take a step back. Like, just walk away. Walk away, take a few deep breaths and come back with a clearer head, because it works. It works. Get out in nature. That always works. But guys, that is essentially in a nutshell how I've managed to get over my narcissistic traits. And if it was helpful to you guys, make sure that you hit that like button down below. I want to reach as many people as possible with these videos. So as long as you keep hitting that like button, my videos will spread out further and I will get more views on this channel. So please, please guys, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I can see that I've only got about 50% of you that are watching that are actually subscribed to the channel, so I would very much like you to subscribe if you haven't done already. And guys, I will see you again really fucking soon. You take care. Bye bye.